And I was one of those guys. If you saw my first fight ever, I was fucking jacked, man. But I was so tight, I barely knew how to throw a punch, and I would gas out after a round.
Hey, Coach Sean. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Hey, I had a question for you. I love your new segment where you've been answering some questions, and I've got a new student, and she comes from a bodybuilding background, a lot of weightlifting, very, very stiff. And I've been trying to help her break down and loosen up a little bit, especially when it comes to hand position. And I've been doing some light sparring drills to get her hands moving around, but just very stiff and static. Arms are kind of glued to the side. So I was wondering if you had any drills or any good ideas for kind of breaking somebody down that's coming into it with a strength training background and it doesn't really move around so much. So look forward to seeing that answer and hearing back from you. Good to see everything you're up to. Awesome, man. Talk to you soon.
What's up, Chad? My former boss from Westchester Mixed Martial Arts. Thanks so much for the question, man. I hope everything at the gym is going well. Say hi to Brendan and all the kids for me. But to answer your question, it's a common one because a lot of people come from a weightlifting or bodybuilding background to martial arts. And I was one of those guys. If you saw my first fight ever, I was fucking jacked, man. But I was so tight, I barely knew how to throw a punch, and I would gas out after a round. So that's usually the typical bodybuilder or weightlifter. They think that they can fight, but it's a long way away. You really have to learn the technique. And when it comes to that, explaining, I mean, it sounds so obvious. This is probably the most obvious tip I can give you, but you just gotta keep at them. You have to keep reminding them to relax. Every time you see them, whether you're holding pads or shadow boxing, just remind them to chill out, relax your shoulders, maybe shake out your arms, just bounce around a little bit, and then try to bring your arms back up. Because you don't want them to have their arms down, obviously, but you want to make sure that they're relaxed enough where their shoulders are relaxed and down, but their hands are up. And so just having the right type of cues, using the right type of analogies, and just trying to explain it in various different ways until one of them clicks, and they're like, oh shit, that's what he means by relax my shoulders. But ultimately, it's just going to come after hours and hours of drilling this shit. But for some drills though, there are some ways that you can kind of work around this. And one of my favorite drills to do is just using my body as opposed to my arms to throw certain techniques. So this way, I'm just working on the technique, I'm working on the foot movement, I'm working on turning my shoulders and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not worried about necessarily throwing the punches or boxing. So this is really just a good way to get the body mechanics down and kind of feel the way that your body should be moving. Is this gonna help with tight shoulders? I don't know necessarily, but I think it just make them more conscious of their body. So this way you just kind of give them a better understanding of what they should be doing, because most of the time when bodybuilders or weightlifters come into Muay Thai or striking art, they tend to use muscle, right? They tend to use their muscle and just use their arms to punch. So getting them to learn the body mechanics of it all is a great way to start too. Another drill, which is highly controversial because you might lose an egg, okay? But you get eggs, you get 2 eggs, and you put them in your fighter's hand. And I mean, if you're in a gym setting, it might not be the best idea because chances are they'll probably crack the eggs when they're throwing punches and it'll come over the gym floor. No! Trust me, I've had that happen to me at home and it's the worst.
Why? Why?
But it's a great way to just remind them to stay relaxed, because when they're throwing the punches, like, yeah, you want to make sure that you're snapping the punches and that when you throw the punch, you're closing your fist. But just having the eggs in your hand, I mean, you're not going to be able to close the fist, but it's going to just make you that much more conscious of throwing with proper technique, not muscling it and not getting so tight and tense. And there's other ways to do it too. I mean, you don't necessarily have to use the egg. I can't think of anything else you can use though that will really just make them a little bit more wary of squeezing the egg. I mean, you could get like Play-Doh or something. I don't know. But anyway, and the last thing that you can do is just work on their mobility. Their shoulder mobility is going to help them just be a little bit more loose and flexible in their shoulder area. So this will help them whip their punches a little bit more, make sure that they're snapping the punches and not using just their muscle, right? And when it comes to shoulder mobility, I know a program, my friend Eric Wong actually created one all about shoulder mobility and flexibility. So if you want to check that out, there's a link to the course down below. But basically, you just want to make sure that they're nice and loose. They're trying to just be more conscious of their body movement. You have to constantly be reminding them to stay loose, stay relaxed, have them bounce back and forth, shake their arms out every now and then whenever you think they're super tight. But yeah, if anyone else has great ideas when it comes to teaching someone who has weightlifting or bodybuilding in their background and they're shifting to Muay Thai, be sure to leave it in the comments below, because this was a good question and it kind of stumped me for a second. I really needed to think of what type of things I would teach someone who's going from from bodybuilding to martial arts. So hope that helps, Chad. Again, hope everything's going well at Westchester MMA. If anyone else wants questions answered by yours truly, the Muay Thai guy, Sean Fagan, the same guy. Sean Fagan and Muay Thai guy, we're actually the same person. I don't know if you knew that. But anyway, just send it over to Sean@knockmoynation.com and I'll make sure to answer it and send you a free t-shirt or tank top because you're a fucking badass.